This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where business owners share their wisdom. It's short and to the point because we respect people's time and because we know transforming possibility happens really fast. And it also leads to lasting results. So enough of that. Let's get to it. Question number 1. In a few sentences, tell me who you are and what you do.
Yeah, Brett, thank you for having me on. So what I do, I run a company called Financial Asset Protection, a financial services firm, and we help clients in all 50 states grow wealth safely and predictably for the future.
Love it. Grow wealth. Say it one more time for the audience. Safely and
predictably.
Predictably. Wow. Nice. So we're going to get into that. Safely and predictably. I love that. Very succinct, very clear statement. We'll come back to that in a few questions. Question number 2. What's the best thing about being in business?
Best thing about being in business, I love being an entrepreneur. I love being self-employed. It's obviously challenging for those of you who have done it, but it's really rewarding. I get to control my own schedule, get to go on vacation whenever, get to kind of take control. But at the same time, it's not easy. I do work like 12 hours a day sometimes, and I love it though. I wouldn't want to do anything else.
Love it. Exciting, right? Freedom, control. It's also exciting. It's never boring, is it?
Yeah.
Never. All right, shifting gears. Question number 3. And this is my favorite question. I love this question, just getting a variety of different answers on this. We hear from other business owners, they're getting so much business that sometimes the chaos in that causes some overwhelm. Would you be willing to share your thoughts on that, please?
Yeah, so I think that in business, there are good problems and bad problems. And having chaos because of too much business is a good problem. It's something you want to get to that stage where you're too busy for clients. And again, it's counterintuitive because it's like you don't want any problems in business. But there are some problems you want to anticipate. And again, you want to shift into different gears to be more efficient. Like this is where a lot of business owners, I think, don't make the leap between like small businesses and larger than that, is that they, like, for example, like self-employed, let's say, and the context I'm using is like self-employed insurance agents or financial advisors or mortgage brokers. Self-employed is just you, usually maybe an assistant, and then you're doing everything virtual. And then the last thing on your mind is having too many clients. But once you do get to that point, then you have to start shifting gears, like hiring people, recruiting, upline, downline streams, things like that. And this is where like reading books like Traction or like Not How, but Who, and all these different books that train you on like being more efficient, and then shifting those gears from being the actual representative to leading the representatives and things like that.
Absolutely love it. Some powerful books there too. I hear and see you're well read. That's amazing. I love it. Fantastic. Question number 4. What other successful business owners like yourself, of course, should be on the Unlimited Wisdom podcast?
Yeah, so my mentor, Mark Willis, should be on here. He's the host of Not Your Average Financial Podcast. Really cool guy. Yeah, he's my mentor. He's trained me in the financial planning niche that I do. And he was actually, his podcast was the first episode I was ever on. So it's called Not Your Average Financial Podcast. And I think he should be on the show.
Nice. That was many, many, many podcasts ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. And thank you for the short explanation about what he does and all that kind of stuff. That's great. Let's get to the crux of this. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So question number 5. Here's where we really get to the wisdom. What piece of wisdom would you share with other business owners based on your experience?
So every business has its subject matter, whether it's, a law firm, an accounting firm, a real estate business, a marketing company. They have their subject matter, and then they have their financial matter, or their, it's like their banking matter. This is the money that goes in and out of the business. And I think a lot of business owners should focus a lot on the money part, the money going in and out of their business, as much as their subject matter expertise. And there's something, like we have a podcast called Thinking Like a Bank. And then the reason why we made the show Thinking Like a Bank was to help business owners kind of copy the same strategies that banks use when it comes to raising capital, paying interest, lowering their taxes, kind of the technical money details, the technical money parts of your business. So I encourage business owners to think like a bank, not just the subject matter you're in. So rather than just thinking like a marketer or thinking like an accountant or thinking like a lawyer, really think like a bank in the way that you handle money. As you listen to the podcast, you learn that banks do a lot of really cool things. Like when you go to a bank, for example, and you take out a loan for like $10,000, it's not like the bank is gonna go to their vault and take out $10,000 and give it to you. They're gonna raise that capital from somewhere else, maybe buy that money at like 1% or 2% and then sell it to you at like 10 or 12% and then have an arbitrage or a profit between. That's just one of the thousands of ways that banks make money. And a lot of people could actually copy these, especially business owners, because they're dealing with cash flow, they're dealing with vendors and suppliers and things like that. You can get really creative with the way you handle cash. So I think that the thinking like a bank process in your business could be more profitable than the actual business you're in, and when you handle the cash. So I encourage business owners to reach out to listen to the podcast Thinking Like a Bank, and then to actually apply those strategies. Think more about the money flowing in and out of your business now and in the future, the taxes you pay now and in the future, and the way that you leverage that. So for example, a lot of business owners are programmed to think of being in a low interest environment. So they're thinking, how do I lower the amount of interest, which is important. You want to pay less interest because that lowers your expenses. But it's not the interest rate that really matters. It's the volume of interest. It's how many times you're going to use banks to borrow the money. On average, 1/3 of our money goes to servicing debt, whether it's mortgage, business lines of credit, car notes, student loans. So a huge part of our financial portfolios and our financial lives are allocated to banks. So we want to reroute that function, that stream of interest back into our pockets by becoming our own bankers. There's a book called Becoming Your Own Banker by Nelson Nash. I highly recommend that book. It talks about that. It talks about how you can reroute interest back into your life. And this is exactly what we help clients do. We help them become their own bankers, help them borrow on their own terms, and help them pay back interest to themselves instead of paying interest to other people. So remember to always think like a bank and not just the niche you're in.
Love that. You shared a whole bunch of wisdom in a very short amount of time. I absolutely love that. I'd like to dive in just a little bit if you're willing.
Yeah.
First, I want to share a story. I love what you said because you took me back. Remember the first time I tried to take $10,000 out of my business account, and they said, "We don't have that kind of money right now." And I was like, "What do you mean? You're my bank. I want my money." It's so funny that you said that. You kind of struck a chord with me, taking me back like 20 years when I tried to do that. It's great. I love it. And a lot of people, frankly, don't know the ins and outs, so they don't understand that. So I love the notion of listening to little intricacies on a not little, but intricacies of how that works and how you think like a bank on a podcast is fantastic. So what comes to mind for me, if you'd be willing to share, I think we'd all agree, everybody listening and watching, we probably all agree that we all need some money mindset enhancements, right? I think we all grow up with some head stuff from our childhood, many of us, right? Or most of us. So for the people listening or watching, thinking like, this is a great notion, but where would I start? So yes, of course, you've already laid it out. Come to the podcast. Love that idea. Super clear. That's a very clear call to action. What next? What could they start with? What would be step 1 or 2, if you would?
Yeah. So step 1, if like finance is a concern to them, either too little money or too much money, I think the first step is you want to build like a really strong financial self-awareness to the point where you know where every penny is, every dollar is, and where it's going. And there's actually easy way to do that. It can be very overwhelming to go through statements and kind of figure out how much you're spending and moving forward. But there's one method I use, and there's so many tools out there. So I didn't invent the system, but there's one system I use. I call it a personal financial tracker. And what I do is I have like an Excel sheet, and every morning, it takes me 10 minutes to do this, exactly 10 minutes to do this every morning. I log into all my accounts, like my checking savings account, my cash value life insurance, Coinbase account with my Bitcoin. And then I lay out each one. So for example, like Monday, November 1st, I would put in like checking account, how much I have in my checking for that day, savings. If I have any cash in my pocket, like actual money, I'll put that to Coinbase or whatever, my crypto account, cash value life insurance. And then there's a sum of assets for that day. And then to the right of that, how much income I earned that day. Did I get a new client? Did I, whatever the case was, did I earn revenue that day? I would put that in and the source of that. And then further to the right, I would have my debt. So like if I had credit card ending in 1234 with a $5,000 balance, I would put that. If I had a line of credit outstanding with the bank, I would put that, how much that debt is. and then all the debt laid out, and then there would be a sum of debt for that day. And when you do this every single day, you start to come up with ideas in your mind on what you should do that you want to do. Do you want to pay down that debt? Do you want to eliminate that debt? Do you want to increase your revenue? Do you want to add more in your savings? Do you want to add more in your life insurance? You start to form these objectives in your mind because you know exactly where your money is and you know what you want to do. Let's lay it out and subconsciously start thinking of different ways to do things. I actually was able to I had at one point with different businesses, like $50,000 or $60,000 in debt. And I was able to completely wipe that out using this. It took me 2 years to do it, full disclosure, but I had a vision, a clear vision on what to do. And I noticed with dealing with a lot of clients, when you do financial planning, it's never all right, this is what you should do. You should follow step 1, 2, and 3, because people are different. We have different desires, different passions, different financial situations, different jobs, businesses. It's too much to just say, this is what you should do. So first step is build really strong financial self-awareness, know exactly where you're at financially, and then form your objectives after that.
Love it. How could we ever know if we're at the break-even point if we don't know where we are, right? Mm-hmm. So love that, and I love how you laid that out in a very practical way. Someone could just go in and create an Excel sheet, pull their information, log it in, and start focusing on that in order to draw down their debt and increase their income.
Yes,
absolutely love that so much. Thank you, because it's practical, it's real, it's something that anybody could do, and you can start today. Not you. Yes, you listening and watching. The person that is saying hey, that's me. I need to do that. Why wait? Just take his advice. Do 2 things he's already laid out. Connect with the podcast to get focused and create your Excel sheet and just get started. Love that. Is there anything else that you would highly recommend? A common issue, a frequently asked question, something you come across since you're in this space every day? Is there anything else you would say, you've got to do this?
Yeah, so a lot of people think that they need to pay upfront to talk to a financial advisor or financial planner, and most time you don't. You can actually reach out to a lot of advisors out there that will do a free consultation and free a 1-hour session for free with you. They also have podcasts and YouTube videos that you can listen. So I would leverage as much free help as possible. You can actually reach out to us for free. We give free 1-hour calls, 1-hour sessions. We'll take a look at your situation and then kind of make some recommendations, all for free. So one misconception is people think that they have to show up with a credit card ready to pay for a session, and that's not true. Sometimes some people do. Some financial coaches do that where you have to pay upfront to talk to them. And others have it for free. I would leverage as much free help as you can, because even if you just get one thing, like for example, you should do this, you should do a financial tracker, whatever the case is, you're talking to the coach or the advisor and you walk away, that one thing could make a difference in your life, for free. So reach out, get professional help for free first, and then proceed on to the courses, the financial products you would invest in, and et cetera. But first, leverage as much free help as you can. And there's a lot of free help out there.
Love that. You made it so easy. And I know there's a place for that on your website. We'll get to that in just a moment, but I love that. And that's really good advice. And I think there are some, I call them limiting beliefs. People call them different things, but there are some beliefs out there that say, well, I don't want to actually reach out to the phone. They're just going to sell me.
Yeah, of course.
That's not the case, is it? There's so many people in the space that you're in and other spaces as well, just really looking to serve people and get them in the awareness they need and get them up and running. So love that you framed that up. It's fantastic. I know you and I could talk business probably all day long.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's switch gears for a moment, if you would. I'd love to know, being in the wealth space, in the financial space, what's the most fun vacation you've ever had?
Yeah, good question. So that's, so vacations is something I kind of live for. And that's one of the reasons why I became self-employed, and specifically became self-employed financial advisor, because I could do it anywhere in the world. Literally, I could do what I'm doing anywhere in the world. So some of my funnest vacations, let's see, in 2020, my wife and I actually went to Cancun in February 2020, right before COVID. And then we also went to Costa Rica in December 2020, in the middle of the pandemic. Both of them were really fun trips. I don't know. It's really hard to say. I feel like every vacation we go on, it's funner than the other. We went to Europe, I went to Turkey, went to the Middle East, Costa Rica, Mexico. Maybe next year we'll be in South America. So yeah, I would say either Costa Rica or Mexico have so far been our funnest vacations.
Love it. So we're going to chat after the podcast because I'm headed to Costa Rica soon.
Oh, nice.
I absolutely love it. I appreciate you. Again, I know we can talk business all the time, but it's nice to hear something fun. It's like there's a reason why we do what we do for the
Yes.
freedom and being able to do this. So I love your answers and you just pouring into that. So when somebody watches this or they hear it and they're like, yeah, I definitely need to dive a little bit more into the financial side of things. What's the website or social media, or what's the easiest and most convenient way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, easiest way is our website. It's finassetprotection.com, FIN assetprotection.com. They can go to that website and then everything is linked on the website. Our Calendly account, our calendar link to book an appointment, our LinkedIn, YouTube channel, podcast, more about us is all on that website, finassetprotection.com.
I love it. And we're going to drop a link below to make it even easier. So, and I have been on the website. It is super clear and really easy to use. So it's super easy, friendly, what do they say? Wow, I lost my words. It's user friendly is what I was trying to say. So I encourage you to jump over there. So I really appreciate the investment of your time. I know how busy we all get, but it's great to have you here and just serving people. This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where business owners making, oh, you're going to love this, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 figures. It's not all about the money. It's also about sharing wisdom and creating global impact. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.